You've seen camouflage before, but what about prey animals that don't blend in? How do they survive? And how do predators deal with their artful guises? Let's start with the startle tactic. The concept is pretty simple. A prey animal is scared and it needs a last line of defense. What does it do? It gives the predator a surprise of its own. One example is the silk moth. The silk moth hangs around the bark of a tree where it blends in a little, but sometimes it's not enough. Let's say a bird finds it and goes to peck at it. The moth will quickly open its wings to reveal brightly colored eyes, the size of an owl's. If this doesn't scare the bird off entirely, it should give the silk moth just enough time to get out of there. The sphinx moth is a bit more creative. As big as small cigars, sphinx moth caterpillars use more than just a simple twitch of the wings. This caterpillar, when disturbed, constricts certain muscles in their head and turn into what looks like a small viper.
You think the predators are dumb? How would you feel if...
While some animals use surprise to their advantage, others have evolved in the opposite direction. Everything around them knows they're there, but nothing dares get close to these toxic creatures.
You've probably heard of this one before. Dendrobates and phylobates, more commonly known as poison dart frogs. You can't get farther from camouflaging than these frogs. They come in a variety of colors, all of them bright, essentially advertising their presence and incredible toxicity. Phylobates terribilis has enough poison in its skin to kill 1,000 people if it enters through an open wound. But not all poisonous animals are born with a natural toxin. Tenucid moth caterpillars feed on plants rich in poisonous alkaloids. This makes them inedible to birds for the rest of their lives, even after they become moths. Poison definitely gets a point across. Then again, there's no need for the poison itself if you can take advantage of someone else's. As long as you're a good copycat, the predators won't know the difference.
Red touch yellow kills a fellow. Red touch black, venom lack. Yellow touches red, soon you'll be dead. Red touches black, friend of Jack. Ever heard this rhyme before? It's taught to kids who live near coral snakes so they can tell the difference between the deadly coral snake and its harmless mimic, the king snake. Another example of mimicry is a manticipid. They look incredibly similar to a praying mantis, which is really pretty cool. At this point, we've made a pretty good case for going it alone, but there is something to be said for strength in numbers.
Some poisonous caterpillars cluster together. The patch of brightly colored insects sends a strong message to predators that eating these bugs would be the last thing they did. However, not all clustering insects are poisonous. Here's a fun example of this. Some non-poisonous caterpillars cluster so that if a predator approaches one, they will all know. The message passes through the group by the movement of its members. The final product is a twitching, flailing mass of caterpillars.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to...
Prey animals can be pretty tricky, but obviously predators must have found some loopholes, or there wouldn't be any of them left. So, here are a couple of predatory tricks.
Sharp vision is a big advantage to a bird on the hunt. But if you've ever played Where's Waldo, you already know there is such a thing as seeing too much. To counter this, birds have evolved an ability called search imaging. The idea of search imaging is to filter out extraneous detail and focus only on what you are looking for. It's the same principle you might use when picking strawberries, focusing only on the bright red flashes that signify a strawberry. But instead of strawberries, birds form a search image of their preferred prey. Some predators may go for the hunt, but some would rather draw prey to them, even if they have to smell bad to do it.
Search imaging is great, but why bother hunting at all when you can have your prey come to you? That's the principle staphylinid beetles work off of. These beetles lift their abdomen and wave it in the air. They also let off a smell that draws their prey to them. When the prey comes in to check out the smell, the beetle attacks. This lazy beetle barely has to move to get its meals. There are a lot of different tactics for survival.
a lot of different strategies and different adaptations, but there's one thing that is always the same. It's an eat or be eaten world out there, and everything wants to survive.